Hi, I'm John Anthony, and this is the first day of my 30-day vlogging challenge. Um, I've started to do a little bit of experimenting around here, but one of the things I'm trying to get used to is talking on camera a little bit more comfortably. So what I've decided after looking through a bunch of other people's recommendations is that I'm actually going to do a 30-day vlogging challenge uh, just to try to get myself a little bit of experience, get used to talking on camera. In this case, I'm actually somewhat in public. I'm not at a casino today down in the lobby area. Hopefully the music isn't too loud in the background. But I just want to go ahead and get the experience of, getting these done and doing these every single day. So hopefully I can see the progress that's going on. Why am I doing this challenge? Honestly, I've really been trying to get into the creative scene for a really long time. I don't know exactly what area I'm going to end up in. I love the whole photography and videography spectrum, getting into filmmaking and cinematography. I'm still very much a beginner. I've spent so much time acquiring so much gear that it's a little bit ridiculous. And I know I'm not the only one that gets a little bit paralyzed by I've got to have the next new thing. I've got to have this piece. Well, I'll get to it when I buy this thing or when I get this thing here. The fact is, I know that's bullshit. You know that's bullshit. I actually went to see the movie 28 Years Later the other night, and I read up on that. Danny Boyle filmed almost the entire movie, other than a few shots of drone shots. He filmed the entire movie on iPhone 15 Pro to be exact. He's got some specialty rigs that was created to do some stuff with it. But I'm sitting here looking at this, and this guy's putting out this mega movie, mega successful, and he's doing it on iPhone. So to sit there and say that, I need to wait until I get this next gear is just an excuse. So that being said, I am going to be focusing on mostly just using the DJI Action 5 Pro right now. I think mostly because just portability. It's just easier to carry this around. I've got the DJI Mic 2 that's hooked up to me. It's just easier to do than anything else, especially when I'm just trying to get used to talking to the camera and getting in the swing of actually doing things. It's much more portable. It's better for doing some vlogs. This is something I can fit in my pocket itself, so it's just very, very easy to do. I'm hoping after this 30 days, I'll be a little bit more up to speed and a little bit more comfortable with talking on camera. I've done a couple of these, and just looking at them very, very briefly, some of the things that bother me is, the amount of ums I say, or the amount of times I'm looking away from the camera and not keeping contact. One of the things I've learned to do is, I on the front-facing screen on this, what I've decided to do is I leave it on for about, I think I've got it set to about 15 seconds, and then after 15 seconds, it turns itself off. I need to just see myself framed, but once you have it framed, you really don't need to see that anymore, because all I'm going to do is end up staring at the camera or looking for an excuse or reasons to look away, because I'm just not used to working on a camera itself. So, one of the other things that I'm trying to get experience at doing is learning video editing. Video editing is a very complicated process. It can be very simple, it can be very complicated, but even just doing basic edits can be a little bit frustrating for somebody who's brand new, myself. So I'm really diving into DaVinci Resolve right now. I really only know some really, really, really basic editing. I'm not even going to do any titles at first here. Each vlog is going to be a little bit different. I've used ChatGPT to kind of help me build this a little bit, so to give me some ideas. I'm going to tweak it a little bit here and there to kind of work with it. But after the 30 days, hopefully I'll be a little bit more proficient at using DaVinci Resolve and just repetitive motion. Just keep doing it over and over again. So that's really some of the main reasons I want to do this. What am I really hoping to get out of this? I don't know if I want to turn this into, a secondary career, a new career. I don't know if it's going to be a hobby. I was a DJ for 20 some years. I did it professionally for a very, very long time. I'm burnt out of that. I did a lot of producing. I did a lot of remixing for some major artists. But I'm burnt out of that. I get people asking me all the time, do you miss it? And the fact is, no, I did it for a very, very long time. But I need an avenue for those creative juices. I like being able to actually do something creative with that. And I just really got hooked into doing stuff with video and photography and stuff like that. So, I don't know exactly where that's gonna end up. I know there are numerous YouTubers out there that are fairly large that they started their channels doing one thing, and it turned into something completely different. So I think that's something I'm trying to discover along the way. I have ideas of doing something here in the camera realm, which is why I'm calling this channel The Budding Creator, because there are loads of different creators you can follow out there who are massively influential, that have loads of experience. But the reason they're that good is because they've been putting in these motions. But what is it like to start as a beginner and start at the very, very beginning to really build up to this? And I think I know there are other people out there that can relate. Like, geez, I can't put out that level of quality stuff. I'd like to start somewhere, but I don't know where to begin. Well, this is how I'm beginning, and maybe you can follow along. Maybe you'll do the same thing. Maybe you can repeat what I'm doing and teach yourself in the process. I'm excited to really start this journey. I'm really scared about where this is, how to do this. I'm scared about being on camera. Anybody who's ever watched themselves on camera, most people, there's some things you don't like about yourself. There are some things that you look different in a camera than you see yourself. The way that you speak, the amount of ums that you say, just not being comfortable with it. So I'm a little scared at that. I'm a little scared at the kind of feedback that I'll get and where that'll go. Right now, I've actually had a couple of people walk by. It's very, very sparse, but it's a little scary to be doing this in public and feeling like people have eyes on me. But that's part of actually doing this. You get used to it. The fact is, nobody really cares. Everybody watches content, and eventually, I think most people are just kind of curious when they're walking by. So, I'm not necessarily going to be doing this in front of other people all the time. I did choose a fairly secluded spot here, but that is something you get used to. Is getting over that embarrassment or feeling like you're being looked at or being judged. The fact is, if I saw somebody doing it, I'm not really judging. I'm just more curious than anything. So, but it's still a little bit scary. And, the other thing I'm really scared about is, kind of failing with this. And that's probably why it's taken me 2 to 3 years to really, really get started with this. There's some other things that have held me back. But, fear of, failing is definitely a big part of that. The fact is, nobody successful who didn't fail a lot. You need to fail. So I'm trying to just fail as much as I can until I get better and better at this. At some point I'm a little nervous about the kind of feedback I'm going to get. I don't know if I can deal with the negative comments that are going to come by with that. But all you can do is go ahead and get out here and put in the reps, do something, and get started with it. So this is my day 1. Getting started with vlogging. It's day 1 of my 30-day challenge, and I'll see you on day number 2. Peace.